looking for some perspective. I try not to let it bother me when POTUS goes to California and acts like fires are due to uncleared forests and Brown is a great guy, when he knows that paradise was annihilated and by whom. There's a public posture and a private one. Rest assured, Mr. Trump knows exactly who did what, when, where and why in California. He knows. But when you've got a psychotic, biased, portal people media, what chance has he got? How many people are actually supporting him? How many in the military are supporting him? How many in the governments are supporting him? And never mind his right-hand man, not, I might add. And this is what he's facing. You know, as said in a recent show, you're not going to be able to make sense of Trump's tweets. There's a lot of distraction in him. Sleight of hand, throwing people off track or pushing it away. You're not going to understand the portal people because they've just gone into complete retard meltdown. As far as I'm concerned, they know nothing that's going on. Nothing. So Trump has to be diplomatic in public, but privately, rest assured, he knows exactly what went on there. And he also knows it was the same ones that fired on his plane, remember. Next part, I mean, how can he go to Bush's funeral and shake hands with those who are in the imminent arrest lineup? Is this simply an Academy Award performance? I think I understand about not showing your hand in war, but maybe I don't. Or maybe POTUS isn't what he says he is. Again, it's all about diplomacy, isn't it? You know, he did the right thing. He turned up, he paid his respects, he shook hands with everyone. You know, you see what happened after the McCain funeral. He was asked not to go. He didn't go. And then the media criticised him for being disrespectful. So there's no winning with the portal people. They have a fixed agenda that they'll criticise Trump if he does or he doesn't. Whether he's good, bad or indifferent. The rhetoric coming out from the media borders on insane. So Trump knows a lot more of what's going on than the public and a lot of the alt media realise. Would he like to do a whole heap of things if he had his way? Absolutely. You've seen what happened with his executive order for the towards the Treasury to issue the cards for the disaster relief fund for people in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina. When mercenaries stormed the Treasury and basically said, we don't care what Mr. Trump says. This is what's going on. I feel it's a good idea to live away from the city and become more self-sustainable because of what's added to our water, food and a new up-and-coming 5G. And also maybe move to a warmer climate. Yeah, I can agree with that. Over time, in fact over the next 40 years, there will be a migration inland. You know, they've corralled us all onto the coast and then they were going to have accidents, giant tsunamis and wiping coastline out and people with it. It's been going on for about a decade now. And There's no real reason or need anymore with the technology we have and the funds to support it for 80% of the world's population to live close to the water. There is no reason anymore. That was because they didn't have pipelines and all the other stuff. Well, we have that technology, and the idea of everyone living by the coast is roughly about 150 years out of date. I took a trip from Florida to where I am now, and it was, you're talking well over 2,000 miles drive, and I hardly seen any towns in the whole of the 2,000 miles I drove. Plenty of room for small towns with new industries, so that people move away from the coast and move inland. You just have to make sure that the facilities and the infrastructure is able to sustain it. But then if you look at the big cities now, are they really sustaining? Where the car, New York, taxis go about 3 miles an hour because there's too many cars, there's too many people. And there's plenty of open space in New York State, or New York City, outside of Manhattan and whatnot. Why is everyone crammed in there? So maybe the person who asked the question, you can get ahead of it and move away from the city. And yes, I think we all should, myself included, should become more self-sustainable. I'm struggling to understand the parents, Draco and AI. Yes, many people do. If they've been around for thousands of years, then why not microchip us 1,000 years ago? Good question. It was never thought it was going to be required until a technological age, in case something went wrong. That was the backup, as I understood it. Maybe we are microchipped already. In essence, yes, with the nanoparticles. In essence, yes, with the RFID, which is in all your clothes. And then you've got your phones, and then you've got your Alexa machines and TVs, chipped, computers, laptops, you name it. So there's always a way of tracking anybody these days. If all beings on this earth have signed a peace treaty, what about the animals we kill to eat? Wouldn't that be a breach? No, we've actually got to eat. And humans were designated to be the leader of the planet as such. Some animals are quite prepared to be sacrificed. The problem we have is the farming methods are not conducive to what should be going on. Corralling thousands of chickens into a tiny pen, or salmon, same as, we're not catching animals in the traditional way, where they're prepared to a point, not all of them, to be sacrificed for the greater good. Perhaps we don't give thanks enough as part of the problem, but it's not a breach of the peace treaty. What is the connection between the funds of the trust and the supposed gold-backed currency to come to America? Struggling to... I don't know where that information's coming from. Supposed gold-backed currency to come to America. I'm assuming that's outside of the group. Because the gold to support the currency is already in America. Just has to be delivered when it's safe to do so and they can protect it. Currently, they can't. How will those who have physical assets on hand add them to their account through the quantum system? I think you're kind of misunderstanding what the quantum system is. Yes, it's involved in banking, because the old system was similar, although not quantum, or not this type of quantum anyway. But your physical assets will go into, either you keep hold of them or you put them in a bank vault, the same as everything else. Hopefully in a bank that actually protects and doesn't steal it. There's a lot of that going on. Will there be a procedure to bring added to the system, and when will it be implemented? Not understanding that question, what you're saying about procedure to being added to the system, and when will it be implemented? The quantum system is already implemented. It's in every bank. It runs every bank. So it's not a case of when it's coming, it's already here. Much to the chagrin of the financial people, particularly the Rothschilds. We'll have more about later. If several astral levels have been cleared, emptied out recently of dark energy and all lower frequency entities, as a result, does that naturally increase or raise the Midgard frequency to a more higher positive level as a whole for us? Yes. That, along with the source energy, will make a massive amount of difference going forward. Of course, there's a lot less now who can possess vessels and play games that way. There's a lot less who are being used for the dark magic by the Coven people. So that's going to have an effect as well. I don't know what I am. You are you. That's who you are. But at the very least, a virtuous, compassionate being, a process of sorts, with much heartful goodwill. I observe 50-50 and the 45-55, and I observe more and more crazed, grasping, greedy, hell-bent on me activities than earlier. Yes, this is what we said would happen. It's wheat and the chaff, isn't it? Except the chaff will not be discarded, they just have a longer journey than we do. And this is why I said migration in the future will be from their world into ours. You know, they have to do their inner work. They have to unlearn the lies. They have a long journey ahead. And I agree. You said you don't feel part of this. No, you're not. And neither are any of us in the group. At the same time, I don't sense or feel I'm on a second split timeline. Well, that's essentially what's going on. You know, does anything in their world look real? Where people just don't care. Don't care there's millions of children going missing and being killed. Don't care that politicians are raping them left, right and centre, or banks raping them left, right and centre, or Rothschilds. No, that's all conspiracy. Does the news make any sense in our world? No. It's a completely different world to ours. The levels of thinking are completely different to ours. and it's getting more and more prevalent, like I said it would, and it will increase more this year. What is going on? Am I dead and remembering? No, you're not dead. You've already remembered in the main, given in your opening statement. Is this a kind of balancing? Eventually it will balance. At the moment it's not. There's far too few nice people who are service to others and not service to self, and hopefully that will balance out over time. Do you see much madness in your neighbourhood? Dear me. Yes, we've seen a lot of madness. Snipers, cars with bombs in them, fridges that miraculously jump off the side of a speeding truck that doesn't stop in front of the car. You name it. A little bit more special madness in the neighbourhood.